Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Durga Malladi, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Technology Planning and Edge Solutions of Nasdaq-listed Qualcomm, to discuss key announcements from the Snapdragon Summit and use case for generative AI on device. Durga, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You got it. And can you walk us through Qualcomm's main announcements from this week's Snapdragon Summit?
We had several announcements in Hawaii today, in this week, and specifically the underlying theme for everything is generative AI running on devices. To outline some of the key announcements, the Snapdragon X Elite platform, the new leader as far as mobile computing is concerned, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, our flagship handset platform, specifically designed from ground up for generative AI use cases in mind. Our Snapdragon S7 and S7 Pro audio experiences. This is a first generation where you can expand immersive and really lossless music quality audio across the entire home. And finally, what we call a Snapdragon Seamless, where you can use the same experience across multiple devices between your PC, your tablet, and your smartphone all put together. The underlying theme for every one of these platforms is really generative AI running on devices.
So, Durga, how is Qualcomm bringing on-device AI to every device?
We're all familiar with what we think we know about generative AI. As the moment we started taking a look at ChatGPT, for example, there was a notion of you could ask a question and you can get a response, and the responses are truly humongous. But as we start bringing the action running on device in itself, we are beginning to see that the kinds of use cases are really unique and make it very intuitive for users to interact with their devices. These are two kinds of use cases, whether it's consumer use cases like image editing and so on, or productivity use cases where you're using it to really improve the overall work productivity on a laptop, for instance. And so these are extremely critical because as they run on device, we bring in concepts like privacy and security, not to mention the fact that it's far more scalable the way we see it.
Qualcomm announced the Snapdragon by Elite at Snapdragon Summit this week, and the Orion CPU, which will be found first in Snapdragon by Elite, and that made major headlines. Can you tell us more about it and why it's so significant?
Yeah, truly excited about that. The Snapdragon X Elite platform, the way that we have designed it, it's designed from ground up with our Orion CPU processor. This is our custom processor. It's the new leader from a CPU standpoint in mobile computing. It's twice faster than anything that we see in the competition as of today, or for the same peak performance, it's about one third in terms of the power consumption, one third less power consumption. And that means it's a true all day, multiple day battery life that we see in mobile computing. It's also designed, the overall platform in itself is designed with generative AI from ground up, which means you can run these extremely large models, generative AI models, to improve the overall work productivity, whether it's summarizing notes or documenting and so on and so forth.
And you had mentioned some use cases for on-device generative AI. Are there any others that you would like to point out? And where do you see the future of generative AI headed?
As we think of generative AI, it's kind of important to understand that there are two kinds of use cases that are coming up. One, which is a little bit more on demand, as in you ask a question, you get a response. That one is what we are beginning to see with chatbots. That part is clear. But there's a second kind of use cases that are coming in, and these are totally related to pervasive AI. It's constantly running in the background in your devices. It's thinking, really kind of reasoning, what is it your next move that it's going to be, and anticipating what you're going to do next, and always helping you in the background in that sense. So on-demand and pervasive AI are the ones that are actually coming together on devices. And as we kind of take a look at the future of AI, these large models running, there is a lot of ways in which our natural interface to these devices might turn out to be voice. Instead of you picking up your device, for instance, and doing something on it, you speak to it and it works on your behalf in that sense. And we showed a couple of these demos in Maui earlier this week where you could actually make an airline reservation by simply talking to your phone. It's one of the simplest and the most intuitive way of thinking about how we would see generative AI moving forwards.
All right. We appreciate the insight, Durga. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me.